everyone, it's Madi-DuV-ASMR. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, guys will probably notice, instead of my regular whisper voice, I am now talking in my soft-spoken tone. And that's because actually a lot of people have requested that I incorporate more soft-spoken videos in my content, so I thought that this video would be a perfect way to kind of introduce you guys to my soft-spoken voice. So I personally don't like soft-spoken videos, that's just a personal preference of mine, but if you guys do and you like how my soft-spoken voice sounds, then I can definitely do more videos in the future for you. And also, quick little note, this is not an accurate depiction of how my voice actually sounds. My soft-spoken voice is much different from my actual voice. I think that my actual voice is a lot deeper and a lot more raspy, I guess you could say, than my soft-spoken voice. So anyway, to get back to the topic of the video, as you know by the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be doing another Reddit video, which was also very highly requested after I did my first one. So I have 6 total stories for you guys, and they're all pretty, there's a couple that are a bit shorter, but they're all pretty long. This is my actually second time refilming it. I filmed it last night and there were some audio problems with it, so I'm refilming it now, and it took me about 45 minutes, so it is pretty long. So I do want to put out a quick trigger warning though. The second to last video, which I will definitely put timestamps down below, like right at the beginning of the little description box, there is a trigger warning of mentions of child abuse in one of the stories. It's not an especially detailed or violent depiction, I would say, or description, I should say. It's not especially violent, but it definitely does contain a trigger warning. And all of these stories, I will be putting the links down below in case you fall asleep. Of course, you can just rewatch the video, but if you do want to take a look at the stories themselves or more stories from users that write these, I will be putting the links to each story below. And also, before I start, I know this is a long intro, but none of these stories belong to me at all. So if you have written these stories or anything like that, feel free to put in the comments or DM me on Instagram, which will also be in my, or email me, which will also be in my description, and I can totally take this video down or just clip the part of your story. So yeah, anyway, I think that's all I have. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and begin. So this first one is called Peagle.com, like seagull, but instead of the S, it's a P. It's written by the user Clinging Man, and this was on the subreddit True Creepy Stories. Quick note, this user Clinging Man has a ton of different stories that all contain characters that are from each different section. I'll mention later in this little story, Mr. Meckwell is a reoccurring character in his series, and I definitely would have added more, but most of his content is rules, and I felt it would get repetitive because I do have a lot of stories containing rules in this, rules and lists. So anyway, with that, let's completely begin now. Okay. Hello, thank you for using Peagle.com. Peagle.com is the best random chat website on the dark web. Please read the rules carefully before you proceed any further. There are 11 rules you must keep in mind while using our service. Rule number 1, be nice to everyone. Rule number 2, don't give strangers your personal information. Rule number 3, don't use the word ritual/rituals in the comment interest box. You do not want to meet those people. Rule number 4, if something pops up asking you to agree to some terms, simply click the small hidden X in the upper left corner. It's not from us or any other human. Rule number 5, if you're chatting with someone and they ask if they can come over, say no and leave. If you said yes, then you invited it over. We will not be held responsible. Rule number 6, if someone tells you that their name is Mr. Meckwell, report the user and move on. Rule number 7. If you meet someone in chat that asks you to solve a riddle, answer within 15 minutes. Hint: the answer is always a part of the human body. If you fail to answer or give the wrong answer, then the best course of action is to destroy your device and any mirrors in that room. Trust us, the alternative is much, much, much worse. Rule number 8. We may be the best, but our video quality isn't always perfect. If the audio comes after the video, we're really sorry, our bad. But if the audio comes before the video, simply leave the website. There will be a knock at your door. Don't open it and wait at least 15 minutes after the knocking is gone to open that door. It's possible that the knocking may come from inside your nearest bathroom. Rule number 9. If someone tells you that you look hungry, say something that indicates you will be back, like, I'll be back after a quick snack, or I'll be back after grabbing something to eat. Once you're out of the room, run. Rule number 10. If you notice a dark figure in the background of someone you're video chatting with, act as if everything is normal and leave after telling your new friend the code. You look hungry. Rule number 11. If you try to hack us, we will get you. Okay, so I like how they were getting deeper and deeper and scarier. That was the end, by the way. They were getting deeper and deeper, scarier, and then the end is, if you try to hack us, we will get you. I just think that's funny, just a little, so nonchalantly at the end. But I think it's this perfect, kind of creepy, fun kind of story. I really enjoyed it. And while I was looking for Reddit stories takes a long time to find actually good ones that aren't either really short or don't have multiple parts, because it can get annoying because it can take a couple days to post. And I wouldn't want to read a part 2, guys, and have it be part 3 and then have part 4 and 5 come out, and then but yeah, I really like it, and it really intrigued me, and I think the author did a great job with this one. Okay, so moving on, next one is called Unexpected Guest, written by _Clar, and this was on the subreddit No Sleep. Okay, as I was heading out to work on Tuesday, I found an envelope sitting on my porch. Its surface was blank, with no address or stamp to indicate it had been mailed to me. It was a message that must have been hand-delivered by a neighbor or friend who'd stopped by sometime during the previous night. When I opened the envelope, removed the letter, and read what was written, however, all it said was, "I'll see you tonight." No name or any other information was included. How odd, I thought. I had no plans for that evening, and had never been much for going out on weeknights. Still, I didn't want to accidentally flake out on someone who was expecting to see me that evening. So to be safe, I decided to send out texts to my girlfriend and friends to see who the letter was from. Yet, as the day drew close and the replies had all been received, reality began to appear. Not a single person who I had contacted knew a thing about the letter. That night, as I sat at home watching TV, I felt uneasy. Every little noise made me jump. Every shadow made me cringe. However, as the night wore on and no visitor arrived, my nerves began to ease. Why was I being so silly about this? The note clearly had a rational explanation. It was something that had been left on my porch by mistake, a message meant for one of my neighbors, left at my place by accident by a visitor who had mixed up our homes. With that idea taking hold, my logical mind was appeased. By the time I fell asleep on Tuesday, I had completely forgotten about the letter. As I was headed out to work on Wednesday, I found another envelope sitting on my porch. Like the first, there was no stamp or address, suggesting that it too had been hand-delivered. Inside the envelope was another note, and just as it had the day before, all it said was, "I'll see you tonight." I spent the day calling and texting my neighbors. I had to find out if any of them had out-of-town guests or friends visiting that had failed to contact them. If so, so I could let them know that their visitor had gotten confused and had been leaving messages at my house by mistake. As Wednesday grew old and approached the end of the directory, I still had not yet located a single neighbor who had visitors or friends expected at their home. Sorry if the hiccups. I have left again without answers. I think it meant to say I had been left again. Yeah. Anyway, that night I sat in frightened solitude, trying to make sense of things. As the hours wasted away and still no one arrived at my home, I began to believe something else was at play. I was being pranked. Drifting off to sleep on Wednesday night, I was already anticipating a letter I would receive on Thursday. As I was heading out to work on Thursday, I found a third envelope sitting on my porch. Inside was another note, and on the page, the writing read, "I'll see you tonight." Certain now of the trigger at play, I texted all my friends. I was positive that I was the butt of some joke. Someone close to me was attempting to scare me, push me to overreact, and freak out. Yet, despite my persistence, my interrogations, every last one of them denied it. Either my friends were all secretly amazing actors, or not a single one of them was the culprit. Last night, I didn't sleep a wink. As I was headed out to work this morning, I found a fourth envelope sitting on my porch. I opened it expecting to find the same repetitious. Why can I repetitious? I feel like that's how you pronounce it. My brain just had a total brain fart. No inside. This time though, as I read the 4 words on the page, my skin crawled. While the words had hardly been changed, the meaning of the message had been altered completely. The note this morning said, "I'll meet you tonight." So that is the end. I think it's perfectly creepy. It's very similar to the first story I had on my previous Reddit video about like someone being like finding a letter in their house about like from someone who was living in their house, like a stalker. And I think it's so like these kind of stories are so creepy because they happen all the time. Like everyone makes jokes about stalkers and having someone stalking you, but it's very real and it's a very real possibility and a very real reality. And I think just these perfect little creepy things just added up together make it amazing. Like amazing to read. And it gives you a really nice experience. And I like how his mind keeps changing back and forth. Like, oh, it's a prank. Oh, it's a mistake. Oh, this. And then he finally realizes, oh, no, it's not. And I think also the fact that you don't know how long the person's been watching you, and now they're gonna confront you and you don't know anything, like that's really scary to think about. Okay, so the next one, this one is one of my favorite stories that I've ever not read, but it's one of my favorite creepy stories. And this one and the story I was just talking about, like the letter that this guy found in his house about the stalker who was living inside his house without him knowing. These two are probably my favorites. Sorry about that, guys. My brother had to go to the bathroom. But with that, let's go ahead and get started with this story. So this one is called I Work at a Hotel. They gave me a strange set of rules to follow. This is written by the user Robert Mort. And this was on the subreddit No Sleep. So, when I started working the night shift at the Evergreen Hotel, I found a piece of paper waiting for me. Written across the top in Sharpie were the words, "Rules for Employment." "What's this?" I asked Amelia, who was packing up her things. "Just the rule," she said, noncommittally. "Oh, like, don't steal towels and stuff," I said. She grimaced. "Yeah, just stuff like that," she said nervously, pulling the bag over her shoulder. "Hey, I gotta run. Nice meeting you." "See you in the morning," I said, with a wave. She grimaced again. "Yeah, of course." Then she muttered under her breath something that weirdly sounded like, "If you're still here." What was that? She walked out the automatic doors and into the parking lot. If I'm still here, Why wouldn't I be here? My shift doesn't end until 7 a.m. What kind of slacker does she think I am? Shaking my head, I picked up the list of rules and began to read. Rule number 1. You are allowed one free item from the snack bar per shift. Any further items will be charged out of your wages. Rule number 2. Do not use the elevator between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Rule number 3. You may see a tall man with a red suitcase standing in the lobby on occasion. Do not make eye contact with him. Just check him in to room 231 and send him on his way. Rule number 4. If you hear someone crying for help in the pool area after midnight, return to your office and lock the door. Do not leave until sunrise. Rule number 5. Do not enter room 404 under any circumstances. Rule number 6. If any guests complain that the tap water is black, tar-like, or sticky, call the hotel owner immediately. They blocked out the numbers, but it's XXX, XXX, and then 5521. Number 7. You must ID every member of the cleaning crew each morning. If anyone does not come up in the roster, do not let them in. Rule number 8. We do not keep any Bibles in the guest rooms. If a guest asks to use the Bible, we keep one in the back office that they can read in the lobby. Rule number 9. Occasionally the computer may show vacancies on the 6th floor. Do not book anyone in these rooms. The Evergreen Hotel only has 5 floors. Number 10. Do not eat the cookies. Those are for guests only. Smiley face. Well, that was disappointing. When I interviewed to work at the Evergreen Hotel, they seemed like such a mature, stable bunch. Not the type to plan out an elaborate hazing of the new employees, because that's clearly what this was. Amelia, or whoever printed this up, had decided to scare the crap out of the new hires. What a cliche. Haunted hotel. Ha, ha, ha. At least now her muttered comment made sense, if you're still here. How many new hires had they scared off before finding me? Luckily for them, I was a hoary. Oh, I thought that said... It says luckily, but I thought it meant unluckily, just to contradict. But luckily for them, I was a horror movie buff and ex-military. I didn't scare easily. Just in case this prank got out of control, though, I saved the hotel's number to my cell phone, cursing my dyslexia a few times before I got it right. There were more rules, but I didn't read them. Instead, I walked into the lobby, poured myself a cold cup of coffee, and returned to the front desk. It would be an interesting night. Ding. The bell at the front desk rang. It was a little past 3. I was sitting in the back of my office, drinking another cup of coffee, playing StarCraft on my laptop. Technically, I was supposed to be going over checkout logs, but I could do that later. Ding. Another impatient ring. With a sigh, I heaved myself up from the computer and made my way to the front desk. It was him. The man with the red suitcase. I averted my eyes, focusing on the desk in front of me. Don't make eye contact. Yeah, it was a mature hazing, but that didn't mean I was going to fail at it. I'm competitive by nature, and I was going to ace this thing. From what little I saw, the man seemed to be a tall, thin man dressed in a suit, standing in the corner of the lobby next to the grandfather clock, probably one of Amelia's friends, or that employee Dominic who I'd briefly met earlier. Oh, of course. That's why I'm not allowed to make eye contact. I'd recognize him. I broke into a smile. That's actually really clever. I looked down at my computer, pulling up the check-in screen for room 213. When I looked back up, the man was standing right in front of me. I froze. How did he get there so fast? I hadn't even heard footsteps. He was just suddenly there. My pulse started to race, but I took a deep breath in, steadying myself. Can I help you? He didn't reply, save for his fingernails rapping against the front desk. This is getting really creepy, really fast. I took in a deep, shuddering breath. No, That's what they want me to do. Get scared. They're probably watching us right now, watching all of this right now from the security cameras, laughing their butts off. Tap, tap, tap. I glanced up again. My eyes fell on his suitcase. He left it in the center of the lobby, and that's when I noticed. It wasn't actually a red suitcase. It was white. But there was so much blood, or something that looked an awful lot like blood, soaking through the cloth. It appeared red. The substance dripped onto the floor, welling in a puddle underneath the wheels. Just a stupid prank, I told myself. I snapped back to the computer, clicked on room 213, fed the new hotel key room into the reader. Zerp. I plucked the key out and slid it across the desk. Without a word, he took the key, and I didn't look up until the sound of his suitcase rolling across the linoleum disappeared. When I did, my blood ran cold. The floor was clean. Where the suitcase had stood, where blood had pooled onto the floor in an inky mess, there was only clean wood. What the hell? As I stood there, thoughts racing through my mind, I heard it. The ding of elevators down the hall, and then, not 60 seconds later, a cacophony of sound. Racing thumps across the ceiling. Right above me, as if several people were running as fast as they could. Bring. The phone began to ring. Bring, 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 bring. Calls flooded in from rooms 202, 207, 218. What the hell is going on the second floor? That's when my eyes fell on the list, pushed aside and forgotten on the desk. Rule number 3. Check him into room 231 and send him on his way. Not room 213. Room 231. My dyslexia made me read it wrong. I checked him into the wrong room. I was starting to believe this wasn't just a dumb prank. Okay, so that's the end of that one. I personally really like it. Like I was saying, this is one of my favorites. It's just the right amount of creepy. It doesn't actually get scary at any point. I think it would be like a fun story to tell like younger kids. Not super young, of course, but maybe like 8, 9, 10, like in that range. I think this would be cute to tell them because I think they would get freaked out just enough, but not scared out of their minds. So I really like it. I think just all the little details are so like nicely played out. So yeah. Okay. There's this one that I kind of want to skip because it's really long and it's not that interesting. And yeah, it never really escalates to the point where it's actually interesting to watch or listen to or read, so I'm just gonna skip it. So there'll only be 5 stories, but this one is the one up next that contains child abuse. So just a quick warning, yeah, this was the longest one. This was 2, 4, 5, I had 6 pages. This is insanely long. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would have taken me like 10-12 minutes just to read that story. It's honestly not that good. It's one of my least favorites. I just picked it because it was so long. Anyway, this next one, again, trigger warning. This is the child abuse story. Starting now. Again, I'll put the timestamps in the description to tell you when you can skip to when the story's over. Great. Sorry, my hips. Okay. So this one is called She Always Came at 2:37 a.m. Written by the user Dracaboy, and this is also from Reddit No Sleep. So I didn't know how she came in or where she came from, but she always showed up when I needed her. The girl I saw was about 14, roughly my age. Nothing was strange about her that I can recall. Then again, I didn't really care to notice. I was too darn happy to finally have someone. We would talk and talk for hours, her listening to my rants, comforting me when I needed it, and help me through everything. She did only have one rule, though, and that was that I wasn't allowed to tell anyone about her existence. I laughed when she told me, knowing that I had no one to talk to. I didn't have friends as I was homeschooled and left at home, and my dad only spoke to me to scream at me, something she seemed to care greatly about. She'd been trying to convince me to call someone or maybe run away, but I'm not sure I could. Like I've said before, I didn't exactly have friends I could go to. One night, he came home from the bar and was irritated. I guess he had just lost a bet on a sports game or something. I was doing a small drawing in my room and he just stormed in. I can't recall exactly what happened, but I was crying and I hurt when he left. When the girl showed up, she was worried, like always. She had always been afraid that he would go too far with me, end up killing me. I told her I had no idea what to do, other than try and keep him happy. She told me she had something in mind that was a more permanent fix. I looked at her, confused. She couldn't mean what I thought she meant. She gave me a wide grin, nodding. That's another thing about her. She always knows what's on my mind, no matter how well it's concealed. She slid a knife out from her pocket, putting it under my pillow. She told me I'd have the strength to do it if I got the courage. The next day, Dad didn't come home until late at night. As usual, he was drunk again. Tonight, I guess he was extra mad because I could hear him storming towards my room angrily. My chest tightened, knowing he was going to storm in at any moment. There was nothing I could do but try to hide. I grabbed the knife and slipped into my closet, shaking as I heard the door slam open. I heard my blankets be torn off the bed as he yelled my name. I flinched, accidentally brushing against a pair of snow pants. My heart stopped as he yanked the door open and pulled me out by my hair. He began yelling and telling me that I was worthless and garbage, grabbing me by the collar of my pajama top and throwing me across the room. My head hit the wall hard and I got dizzy. I felt blood drip down my face and the back of my head. The knife was still in my hand miraculously. I had never felt more scared, mainly because he was advancing on me again. He lunged for me and I shot my arm up, slashing across his throat. I don't know how I did it. It just came to me in a rush of adrenaline. I yelled in fear as the blood flew from the wound and splattered across the wall. He fell to the floor, clutching his throat. Blood covered my pajamas and floor as I watched the final moments of his life. I dropped the knife, not feeling anything other than rage. I know it was wrong, but I also was kind of glad he was gone for good. Though, looking back on it, I know it was just the adrenaline. I exited the room, not knowing what I should do. That's when I stopped. The girl was there, grinning. It was the first time I'd seen her before the usual time. She beckoned me forward, walking to the front door. I followed her slowly, as if in a daze, my head clearing of the rage to mild numbness. She opened the front door and stepped out. The outside was dark, no pitch black. No street lights, no houses, nothing. I followed her forward, then found myself in a sea of darkness. I woke up later. I didn't know how long I'd been out, but I knew I wasn't at home. Feeling around my surroundings, I could feel a pile of stuffed animals and clothes hanging around me. I was in a closet. I didn't recognize the place at all, but I could hear sobbing from the other side of the closet door. Curious, I opened it, finding myself in a small room where a boy was crying on a bed, his face bruised from a handprint. I walked to him, wrapping my arms around his body gently. He didn't mind, of course. I didn't mind my first time either. I whispered to him that it was going to be alright, that I would be here for him no matter what happened. I glanced at the time, knowing the purpose for me being in the room. The clock on his bedstand read 2:37 a.m. It's now been 2 months after that day as I write this. I live my life normally somewhat. Apparently I'm a foster child adopted by a decent, stable family. I also discovered that I'm a few towns away from my old home, and as far as I know, the police are still searching for that 13-year-old child of a murdered man. Only 3 people know the truth. I haven't seen the girl since that night, but I hope she's doing alright. If you're reading this out there, thank you. Every night I go to bed, expecting to wake up to my father's angry footsteps walking me from a dream. But I don't. I wake up in the boy's room, ready to comfort him and help him through it. If anyone's looking for me still, they can find me each night in the room of an abused boy at 2:37 a.m. Okay, so that's the end. I do really like the story. At the end though, in that last little part, there is a lot of contradictions. So he first says that now he's living his life normally, and now he was a foster child, and now he's adopted. So that could make sense on its own, but then why would the police be still looking for the boy? I find that, like, it would be very easy to identify him. I don't know. I feel like it would be all over the news. Like, I just feel like that would be, you hear about that stuff. Especially if the kid's missing and, like, hasn't been found. And if it's only a few towns away, like, that seems really, really sketchy to me, that he isn't found. And then if it says, if anyone's looking for me still, they can find me each night in the room of the boy. But why wouldn't they just go to his house that he's adopted? See, it kind of contradicts there. And then, who are the three people? Him, the girl, and maybe the dad, but the dad's dead. And he doesn't know, because, like, he did it, I guess. I don't know. But nonetheless, I still like the story a lot. Sorry, my back hurts. I keep moving around, but yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next story. So this one is called "Welcome to the Stairs at Beach House," written by the user Noah Kai, and this is from the subreddit Scary Stories. Okay, I'm gonna lean back for this one just because my back hurts. I'll kind of like lean like this, so I'm sorry my posture's bad, but my back just hurts really bad. Oh, did you hear that pop? Wow. Okay, let me actually lift this up so I can see it a bit better for you guys. Okay. Never mind. Welcome to the Stairs at Beach House. We're happy to accommodate you for your stay. Here at Stairs Up, we try our best to ensure you have the best possible time here. Therefore, we just have a couple easy-to-follow rules. Please do not attempt to climb any of the nearby rock formations, especially when the tide is high, as you can easily be swept away. Do not leave wet clothes or towels on any of the provided mattresses. The mattresses can stay wet for a while and stink. Refrain from picking any of the fruits on the property. There are a few poisonous species on the land, and we do not want to take any responsibility for any sickness, hospitalizations, or deaths caused by ingestion of them. You may venture onto the other Stairs Up properties in the area, provided that the tenants do not raise any issues. However, under no circumstances should you be outside from any time from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. Please do not play any music loudly, especially if the music has a lot of bass, and it is the given time above. If you notice any activity outside after sundown, do not worry, that is only Bob. If you knock at the door at any time after sundown, Bob is coming to visit you. Open the door and treat him like he was invited to visit. Do not ignore Bob. Do not mention Bob to anyone. Do not use foul language around Bob. Do not attack Bob. Any pets you have are considered to be a lost cause. Please mop and sweep the house before departure. If anything is forgotten, it is considered our property. Do not, under any circumstances, go into the water at night or early morning. Close all curtains fully before you go to sleep. If you forget to do so, immediately contact a Catholic priest in the morning, regardless of your religion or lack thereof. If you wake up and the curtains are gone, stare through the window until the sun comes up. Please do not use any drugs on the land provided, especially anything involving smoke, as they are sensitive to it. I'm sorry, there's a motorcycle. Do apologize. Next up, respect the man in the basement. In the man in the basement's left pocket, there's a pamphlet regarding the procedure which you are to carry out once every 3 days you stay here. Make sure you use pig entrails above any other type. Ensure everyone in the house is asleep before 4 a.m. If you wake up during 4 a.m., do not leave your room. The drying out machine is usually on the fritz. We would recommend instead putting clothes on the line outside. Please remember to wash yourself after swimming. Do not lose track of Bob when he's in the house. Under no circumstances should Bob enter the basement. There's been a serial killer at large in the area for a while now. He only kills those who do not leave a pack of cigarettes at the on the doorstep. If you notice some clothes missing, do not worry. Those can be found tied to a tree somewhere on the premises or scattered on the shore. If you suddenly notice a presence in the room you're sleeping in, stay quiet. If anyone notices a large object or creature on the horizon that appears to be coming closer, immediately leave the premise. Do not, under any circumstances, go into the cove at the left side of the beach. If you feel something brush your leg while in the water, stop moving. If you are treading water, let yourself sink to the bottom, as drowning would be a much better alternative than what will await you, as you should move. If you hear screaming coming from the cove, immediately say, "Thank you," and walk up the stairs facing towards the beach. Remember to always be careful in the water and supervise your children. No, we will not allow you to stay free of charge. Please stop asking. Follow these simple rules and you will have a fine and grand old time at the stairs at Beach House. I'll look forward to meeting you later. Okay, so that was the story all done. So that's all the stories for today. I really like that one. I think it's kind of fun. It's a mix of both like standard rules and these kind of like interesting ones. And I like all the kind of characters and all the interconnectedness. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day or night whenever you may be watching it. If you're watching it to go to sleep, I hope you sleep very, very, very well. If you're watching this during the day, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And for all of you, I love you all so, 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 so much. And goodbye.